Batten Down is a potential Belmont contender, and you see he's got some pretty awesome connections. Juddmonte International, Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, prominent New York trainer, and does it probably just about as good as or better than everybody else. This one has just broke the maiden at Churchill Downs at 1.25 miles, which is a pretty good sign for the Belmont, I'd say, and seems to be getting a little better with each start. And let's take a look at the pedigree first of all. And you see this is about as regal a pedigree as you get. You get Tappet on top and Close Hatches on the bottom. Close Hatches was the older female Horse of the Year champion in 2014, multiple Grade 1 stakes winner, and pretty damn good filly. So, I mean, this is some really nice pedigree. You see First Defense carries on the Unbridled Song and Unbridled Fabiano line. So there's plenty of stamina to go around. You look up at the dosage profile, and you do see quite a bit of intermediate and classic influences, as well as a solid. So there's plenty of stamina here. The dosage index may be a little misleading. That's a little, might be considered a little high, but I don't think 1.5 miles is good, or 1.25 miles rather, is going to be any problem for Batten Down. Just ran at it and actually broke maiden in a time faster than the Kentucky Derby by about a second. So that's a pretty good indication this horse isn't going to have a problem with it. Now, we look at the conduit mare profile, and we do see speed and stamina evenly spread out, but certainly from Tappet, you're going to get plenty of stamina, and Close Hatches was a two-turn horse all day. So, again, I don't think stamina is going to be a problem for Batten Down. Just to give a quick reference, you take a look at Tappet's Get, and we see quite a few horses that we're familiar with for sure. Essential Quality and Flightline, of course, would be one of the more prominent ones, I'd say, to say the least. And you see quite a bit of black type there. So, Tappet, obviously a great two-turn sire, and as we call him, the Belmont sire, because he sired 3 or 4 of them, I believe, in the last few runnings. So in good hands there. We look over at Close Hatches, and you see Tacitus. Some of you may remember he was third in the Derby. I believe he was third or fourth in the Belmont as well. He was a stayer. He could run all day. Had a little trouble closing the deal, but obviously a horse that won $3.7 million is a pretty good horse to be a part of. Scylla as well. We've seen run as a filly, and it's a pretty darn nice one. I believe she just came back this year. So there's some good bloodlines here, and there's definitely some good siblings around 2 turns. So again, just re-emphasizing that Batten Down has exceptional pedigree and really tailor-made for the Belmont. Even though it's at 1.25 miles, but obviously that would probably be. I don't think it's going to be an issue. So we take a look at the Equibase numbers here, and one of the things you note is you do see a slow but steady progression, and within the maiden ranks, and it began at 7 furlongs, and that's 1 turn. This horse definitely wants 2 turns. The next 3 efforts were at 1 1/8 miles, 1 1/16 miles, and 1.25 miles, respectively. So you see a steady improvement as the distances get longer. So again, I think this horse is rounding into form. Now, normally at this point I would show the race replays and we'd take a look at them, but maidens are contractually, I don't want to get in any trouble, and so they're kind of hard to publish and to show you. But if you take my word for it, one of the things that Bill Mott's horses are always noted for, of course, is slow and steady progression, and Batten Down is no exception. Seems to be kind of on the one-pace side, and is forwardly placed, has been more so as the races have gone on, culminating with the maiden win at Churchill Downs, where he just drew off. He had been facing some good company in Corporate Power, who we saw run on Preakness Day, at Victory Avenue, just to name a couple. So he's had some pretty good company, and he's acquitted himself pretty well. he's definitely a stayer, and he seems to be comfortable running up and near the lead, and does look to be, he was a little slow out of the gate when he started, but he seems to have solved that problem, and I don't consider that to be an issue. Really, the question is going to be if he's fast enough, because I'm not sure an 88 is going to be quite good enough, but again, the distance, not going to be a problem. So if we look at the pace fractions, I've used the last three maiden races because they were all around 2 turns. Batten Down's first effort was at 7 furlongs. And there's some very encouraging things here. First and foremost, from his last race run at 1.25 miles where he broke his maiden at Churchill, his percentage energy was 50.61%. And for those of you who don't know, that's the EP, or the second pace call, divided by the second and third pace call. And generally for front runners around 2 turns, it's somewhere between, let's say, 51 and 53%. So the fact that Batten Down is only utilizing a little over 50% of his energy is a very good sign for a longer race. And you can see that for 1.25 miles, he was able to maintain his speed pretty well, and better than he did at 1.125 miles or 1.16 miles. So I'd say that, the longer the distance, certainly the better it looks for Batten Down. You also note that the third fraction improved with every single start. So the best part of it at all, most impressively, is it culminates with a 52.79 at 1.25 miles. So I think the Saratoga, as we're now calling it, sets up very well for Batten Down. The speed is certainly the question, but I think this race meets Batten Down right between the eyes, and it should be exactly what he wants. You take a look at the projected time, and that was based upon his maiden. So you see 48.112, which is, about average, but he's going to want to get on the lead and try to walk it, and the big question will be whether he can withstand any pressure. We certainly have to see what the field looks like, but and it would be a big jump into from a maiden into a Grade 1 stakes. But if you look at it, you think of it this way: he's bred for the Belmont. Even at 1.25 miles, the longer the race, the better. So Batten Down is a pretty interesting horse when you consider our Triple Crown races seem to be won on the front end because our better horses, up or near the front end, because our better horses are later runners. So he's a very intriguing candidate, especially in the hands of Belmont. So we look at issues and concerns. Competition certainly would be the one, because he is going to be stepping up into a Grade 1 company. What that means, I don't know. I mean, the Preakness, I wouldn't really consider a Grade 1 type of race. And the Belmont, probably will be a step up from there with the likes of Sierra Leone involved. But let's see if he can step up. He has run against some pretty good company in those maiden races. Corporate Power, we saw run on Preakness weekend, Victory Avenue. So he's run against some pretty good horses, but they were maidens. So competition, obviously, a really big issue. Speed also. 88 was certainly his best equibase number, and we'll drill down on that when we get into the elements of handicapping, but he'll definitely need to take another step forward. But he has been incrementally improving, and he's going to be at a distance that should meet him right between the eyes. So Batten Down, to me, is a pretty interesting Saratoga contender.